Hi, this is Eternal King bringing you another LOR video today. So we've shared a great deal of decks that have been made by me that have been successful in Eternal and have been thoroughly tested. And I thought we'd do something different and share some of the decks that the community has come up with. So again, maybe it's possible that these decks will be more accessible to the player base or more interesting. At the end of the day, I will make a point of listing who built these decks, and I'm again not taking any credit for myself. So the first one up is going to be Birds. So Birds, I believe, is Lucky Chad, but then I've also seen Grappler, and again, there's so many versions running around on Runeterra AR. But again, Birds was kind of one of the first decks that people were excited about. So again, I've got my own little version here that I think is going to be, quote unquote, the most competitive. But like at the end of the day, this is a tribal deck, so we'll run through it. Fleet Feather Tracker, again, obviously it's a good tempo 1-mana bird. Has Challenger, Omen Hawk, good tempo card, buffs your deck. I'm willing to run exactly one Blinding Assault, which will summon Valor, which is basically identical to Fleet Feather Tracker, but it has Scout, which is not going to be relevant most of the time. Form Up, give an ally 2/2 this round. Again, this tribal deck just wants stats. And again, we have enough Challengers and we have Omen Hawk that we wouldn't want Sharp Sight. There's no reason for it. The other card that I'm including is Inspiring Light. So again, this is something that I'm seeing a lot of bird players sleeping on, which is a huge mistake. If you've been playing any high-ranking Eternal Ladder, you're going to know that TF Draw is a deck you're going to have to deal with. So I'm just imagining like jamming all of these 1-health birds, and then TF comes down and just red cards and clears your whole board. And that's a very real scenario that could happen to you. So the only way to prevent that from happening is Inspiring Light. You play all your birds, and then you Inspiring Light, and that's going to protect your weaker birds from certain things. It's also going to allow your weaker birds to potentially trade up in certain scenarios. So Inspiring Light, pretty staple tribal card. Again, if you want an example of like a card that people are running in birds, it is Ferocious Fluffs. So you go and look at their lists on Runeterra AR, and they're running Ferocious Fluffs, which gives all your birds 1/1. And my thinking there is like, why would I run a 7-mana card to just play Inspiring Light, which I would rather do. So yeah, let's just play Inspiring Light instead of Ferocious Fluffs. That's going to be much more mana efficient if we want to make this deck as competitive as it can be. Nico needs to be included in the deck for region matching. So basically she brings in all the racial birds from the different regions, but there's no reason to play more than one Nico because we're not trying to level her in this deck. Solari Sunhawk is good stun and tempo, and then we're also running Snow Dog because again, Snow Dog is going to do the exact same thing that Omen Hawk does, which is make our birds bigger. 3-mana card, the only 3-mana bird available is Aurora Hulantis. Now, Aurora Hulantis isn't bad. You can play her for 2 mana on curve as a 2-drop, and then you can spend 4 mana to burst her out. As basically creating an exact copy of this 4/2. So again, if the stats are buffed, you're basically getting 2 5/3s is the way that works. So if you get 1/1 on Aurora Hulantis, then you flip the card. It starts out as a 3/3. It gets flipped. You'll have 2 5/3s, and potentially swing at burst speed. So it's a good go wide bird card. Silverwing Vanguard, again, it's a go wide bird card to put your buffs from Snow Dog and put your buffs from Omen Hawk on it and put your buffs from Inspiring Light on it. Again, you're seeing a trend here. Silverwing Vanguard, again, is going to buff all of our challenging birds. So again, it is also a bird. So you're seeing the trend here. Quinn summons a bird. You'll see the trend there. Royal Shimmerwing, your other birds have 1/0 and quick attack. So overall, Royal Shimmerwing just being better than Ferocious Fluffs in most cases. So assuming that your like Omen Hawk and Snow Dog strategy is going well and you're able to go wide with some bird challengers, then you can just jam Royal Shimmerwing and they'll all have quick attack. Talon Strike. So Talon Strike is basically combining 2 things. It's combining, say, like a grappling hook and an Inspiring Light into one card, which is kind of the reason why we're running this deck now. It's the variety card. So obviously we run Talon Strike. And then 2 Jarvans. Again, it's more challenging pressure, and it's more open attack pressure, basically. So what you'll see is a lot of people will just jam rallies into this deck, and to be honest, this isn't a great rally shell. It's really not. There's so many things that an opponent can do. Say if you want to play um, champion strength at slow speed, and your opponent just counter spells it, um, which would be absolutely horrible for you. Another thing that could happen if your opponent board clears you, so Buried Nice, Ruination into the champion strength would be absolutely awful. This deck wants to be a tempo deck. Absolutely. It wants to be a kind of a mid-range shell. So then the next deck, this is, again, I'm going to say that it's Sunny's deck, but it's entirely possible that someone else built this and then he was copying them. That's kind of how deck constructions go, is everyone kind of migrates towards the same things. So while I've been able to provide shells for all the new variety cards, a ton of things people haven't thought of, everyone on Runeterra AR either thought birds or they thought this deck for whatever reason, like groupthink, hive mind stuff. So that is, of course, Chakram Dancer. So it is the Chakram Dancer deck where all of your elemental skills now drain. I think that it's a good deck. I think it's a great deck, actually. I don't want to undersell it. So title Invocation being a ping effect that functionally works identically to a Vile Feast. The only difference is that because it's elemental, you can buff it with Deluge. Ice Shard is an elemental effect that will deal 1 to everything. So it's very reminiscent of like an Arcane Explosion from Hearthstone. So it's very reminiscent of that, which again gets bigger when you play Deluge. So now it's a fast speed avalanche. A fastalanche. Speaking of avalanche, we of course run avalanche, which will be buffed by 1 off of Deluge. Winter's Touch for ramp, Chakram Dancer because it's going to allow all of our elemental skills to drain, which is very, very good. So when you play that, Ice Shards that deals 2 to everything at fast speed, if Chakram Dancer's on the board, you'll drain 2 from everything at fast speed, which means you'll basically be at full health. Harsh Winds is a 3-of, staple ramp card, while Mysticism Anivia has a skill that deals 1 to everything that will also, I'm not entirely sure if it gets buffed by Deluge, because I don't believe, yeah, it says elemental spells and skills. Yes, it's got the emblem here, so that does count as an elemental skill. I had to check that because, again, that's not an interaction you see very often. But yeah, so Anivia will do more damage with Deluge. She will also drain off of Chakram Dancer. So again, very good. Wings of the Cryo Phoenix. It's going to let you hit those sort of upper levels of board clears. Like there's no Buried Nice on this deck, which again, I guess in this particular list you don't want it. You want all elemental skills. You want to buff the damage of the elemental skills. So this card also counts as elemental, and it also will heal your Nexus if you're at 10 life if you've ramped successfully. So that's pretty good. Wizened Helmsman, manifest 2 elemental spells. You've played this game. They cost 0 this round. So again, 2 free spells for 0 mana off a 7-drop. Like, holy smokes, that's insane. Volley Bear, again, everything that he does is elemental, so it's all going to drain. And I think the only card I'm not entirely sold on is Clash of Giants. Because, again, it's random Titanic followers. So it's basically any follower that has 8 plus power or health. You might get something really good. You might not get something really good. But either way, you should be gumming up the board effectively, which is the only thing this deck wants to do. Is just create big stuff to gum up the board successfully. So you can continue to jam elemental skills. Out of the 2 decks, you know, Birds and Chakram Dancer, I believe that this elemental spam deck is the more competitive of the 2 in terms of its power scaling. It's really hard not to see that being the case because it's going to potentially heal better than Shadow Isles Freljord, which is, you know, ramp, which is good. It's going to potentially clear better than Shadow Isles Freljord, which is really good. And it's high synergy and it's combo based, and you know, Volley Bear is going to level very easily, and Anivia is going to level very easily. So like this is the kind of deck that I talk about building in Eternal. So again, whether it was Sunny's idea to build this list or whether he got the idea from someone else, this is an actual good deck. Play this deck. Again, it's highly synergistic. It knows what it's doing, and it's powerful. So yeah, there's 2 decks built by the community that I believe are of decent strength. They are Eternal level. And then if you also look at all the decks that I have provided with the new variety cards, you should have a pretty good host of new decks to play if that's what you're looking for. Alright, this is Eternal King signing out.